I got
souls.
it. I got the story for you guys. From Timcast.com, LAPD tells residents to cooperate and comply with robbers
good Lord.
amid rise in burglaries.
There you go.
Wow.
I want you to imagine two societies. One in which everyone, for the most part, is armed and unwilling to comply, period. Criminals would be like, there's no point in trying to rob this person. They'll scream, they'll attack me, and my life will be at risk. Now I want you to imagine another society in which the government tells everyone, do whatever you're told and you're not allowed to be armed. Well, now the criminals know you will do nothing to me and you can't.
Yeah. That's literally like Clockwork Orange, where you've got these robbers and people are just comply with them just because they're afraid that the situation will get worse.
My mentality has always been, growing up in Chicago, if anyone comes near me, I will make sure they understand it will be a very bad day. And they might take my stuff. They might win in a fight against me. But I'll tell you this. There's a guy across the street who will drop to his knees and beg you. I will swing at you. So leave me alone. And you know what? Growing up in Chicago with all the violence and the shootings and everything, so I've only been, there was only one time someone tried mugging me. And I told him to shove off. And he threatened me. And I laughed. Plainclothes anti-crime police then emerged out of nowhere, true story, grabbed the guy and screamed in his face. I could have, as soon as the guy walked up to me, just been like, just take everything from me, take my wallet, my phone, and I didn't have any money anyway. But no, I just kept walking and I laughed and I was like, you're an idiot. I was like, I don't have any money anyway. And he was like, yo, I got a knife. And I was like, oh, and I'm just making fun of him. And then if I didn't keep walking, I don't know if the cops would have seen him and caught him.
Yeah.
If I stood there on the street corner in it was dark out, maybe he would have pulled a weapon or whatever. But I ignored him and I said, you ain't getting nothing from me, dude. And then this is another reason why I think police are a good thing when done properly is 3 cops, a plainclothes officer walked up and grabbed him and slammed him up against a fence and screamed, not in my town. And I was like, whoa.
Jeez.
Apparently he had seen the guy earlier harassing women and they were keeping an eye on him. So good on the cops. I think my attitude has always been, be it Antifa or anybody, if you want the path of least resistance to terrorize someone and rob them, it ain't going to be me.
Yeah. Well, that headline is what we were saying right before the show started, and you prefaced at the beginning of of the show. They use our values against us, and our values are, let's not hurt these poor people. They're robbing for a reason, right? We have to understand what their plight is, and let's just comply. Let's get along. Our values of sensibility, of society, of goodness, of whatever you want to label it, Christian or not, they use those values against us. And that is the weakest thing a society could do, is to let your values be turned against you for your own destruction.
Do you know they did a study where they took convicted criminals, violent offenders, muggers, robbers, burglars, rapists, etc., and they showed them images of people walking. And they said, rate the likelihood you would target this person for a mugging. And they all did. And you know what they found? The people that were chosen by the criminals had typically been attacked before. They found that the way you carry yourself, if you present weakness or you're distracted, makes you more likely to be targeted. So if you're walking upright, shoulders, up,
Squared.
shoulders squared, head straight up, walking firm and confidently, they leave you alone, not even by conscious thought.
Yeah.
Their subconscious is like, this person's going to be a problem for me.
Well, it's like lions hunting, and I knew some criminals in New York City. It was like they could sense someone's weakness. They preyed on people's weakness, and I had different responses with the police. I mean, there was many times I got jumped a couple times. I knew other people got jumped. A lot of times, the police officers just kind of like rolled by, and then it didn't do nothing. And I'm like, I'm getting the crap beat out of me by all these people, and I had a number of these incidences. But imagine being a police officer, being a criminal in Los Angeles right now.
Reading this
being like,
headline.
this is open season.
Yes.
Like, this is great. Like, yes.
That's been happening.
Like,
do you see the video? There's the video from San Francisco where the guy goes in the Walgreens with a garbage bag on his bike and he's just shoveling stuff in.
Loading
or
stuff
the
in.
women who go to the makeup section and they're shoveling it all in. Or in Connecticut, you see this video? They go in the store and they load up 3 shopping carts and just walk out with it. And then you hear someone say, "Don't do it, Jim. You'll get fired."
What?
Jeez.
You tell criminals that no one will do anything against them when they commit crimes, they're going to be like, okay.
This is what I don't get about the San Francisco thing. Why did they announce it that they weren't going to be
They're
prosecuting?
announcing, look at
They're
this.
announcing this. This is open season
Nonsense.
for average people that can't defend themselves. As of course they have to jump through hoops to even be able to have a firearm.
Like this,
This
I get
sh-
because
this
it's kind of like a public broadcast. They want everyone in LA to know. But the San Francisco thing, why wouldn't they just keep it like, hey, by the way, we are going to prosecute you, just so you know, and then just not do it? So at least there was like this.
Because they're on the side of the criminals.
think you're
Because
right.
they
That is
believe
weird.
the path to racial justice is the destruction of this country.
The reparations.
If,
They're-
that's,
they're-
if law enforcement is thinking that
This
way,
is-
that's
this
It's the Watchmen.
Let me explain something.
It's the Watchmen, and you need to have destruction in order to be able to rebuild.
Well, so it's actually quite simple. I remember the old conspiracy theory about the Amero. Do you guys remember this? The
Yeah.
Amero? Luke, you remember the Amero, right?
Yep.
it's like North American currency.
It never happened. But the idea was that, Canada's got the Canadian dollar, the American dollar, there's the Mexican peso, and they wanted to create a currency that would work between all three countries. Never happened. I don't know if it,
It's called cocaine.
Well, it was called the Amero, right? No, but here's the point. What the conspiracy entailed was that powerful actors in each government needed to normalize the economies before you could implement a singular currency. If the value of the Canadian dollar is lower than the American dollar, you can't introduce one currency because it would destroy the Canadian economy. What they need to happen is the American economy to crash to the level of Canada and Mexico, and once they're normalized, then you will get the opportunity for a one continent currency. What the ideology of the left is that there is historical and systemic racism among black and brown communities, but not Asian communities, which is why they don't include them.
Of course.
So the idea is, if you have a city with a rich white neighborhood and a poor black neighborhood, and you burn the whole city to the ground, now everyone is at the same level, and let them start again equally.
This is exactly what they're doing with the Great Reset, which is really interesting to me too. They're like, oh, this is total chaos, but there's great opportunity here. I'm like, okay, well, that seems really suspicious at best. But I was going to say too, I think this LA thing is going to be a huge red pill for people on gun control, because when you put gun control into these places, criminals are like, hey, man, I don't care. It's just one more law I'm going to be breaking. I'm going to get a hold of a gun from Indiana or whatever Lori Lightfoot complains about in Chicago. And they're like, I'm going to go through with it. This is basically Christmas coming early because people
Like,
are unarmed.
If there's somebody who's like got no moral compass preventing them from killing someone, I'm pretty sure jail is not a deterrent.
No,
Like
no.
our guy in Kenosha.
And
But
you're
remember, cooperate and comply. It's going to be easier if you just comply. People who make those arguments about complying just, I've absolutely bothered the crap out of me.
I feel like if every single person was an angry, arrogant individual when it came to these muggings or robberies or whatever, there would be no robberies. These criminals would be like, there's a woman, and she would just go, "Ah!" and then pull out a gun, and they'd be like, I ain't going anywhere near any of these people are crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead, we have a society full of scared, timid victims.
Well, that's the problem with, again, growing up in New York City, is that guns were illegal, and so
You couldn't defend yourself.
home break-ins were fairly frequent because they knew you didn't have a gun. My dad used to have knives above most of the lintels and most of the
Wow.
doors in the house. And I remember asking him about it, and he's like, I have to defend the house somehow.
And
but
you know-
you can't have a gun. So if you're a criminal, what's the most that's going to happen? They're going to come at you with a steak knife. So you break down doors.
And the Kevin McAllister method is also illegal.
Yeah, unfortunately.
What's that?
Booby traps.
Yeah.
Booby trapping your home is
Home
actually,
Alone.
you can't do it. It's illegal.
Yeah.
So when that little kid puts the paint bucket at the top of the stairs, you'll go to prison for that.
That's
Defending
insane.
yourself in any way in New York City, you go to jail.
Exactly.
If someone robs you, someone attacks you, you leave a blemish or a mark on them, the police officers put you in jail.
Yep.
That's insane.
In New Jersey, people keep telling me that there is castle doctrine, and they comment it all the time, and you're wrong. Technically, New Jersey has castle doctrine, but it's an affirmative defense, meaning if you are in your home, in your boxers, eating a midnight burrito, when all of a sudden your door gets kicked in and a guy and a group of people all dressed like the Joker, brandishing weapons, walk in, so you grab your AR-15 and you say, "Oh no, they have guns and they're threatening my life," and you shoot them. Sure, you have castle doctrine, but don't worry. The police will be there to arrest you. You'll be charged with homicide in each incident, And then when you go to trial, you can beg the jury to believe you when you say, I had no choice, I was defending myself. Whereas now that may be a circumstance that occurs in many states, but there are many states where the cops would come in and be like, this person entered your home and they have a gun. I'm sorry this happened to you. Have a nice day.
Well, that's why the known fact is that you make sure you drag the body in as far into the living room as possible. I mean, I remember a cop telling me that in New York City. If you ever have to kill someone who breaks into your house after you stab them in the doorway, drag them as far into the house as possible. Yeah,
well,
blue states
quite literally don't
existence.
touch them.
Yeah.
But
and
in New York, in New Jersey, in Illinois, if someone breaks into your home and threatens your life to your face and you defend yourself, you will be charged.
And it's because of those policies in Washington, D.C., which is just as bad as New York or anywhere else,
Easily, yeah.
that those who can't afford to cross the river and they move into Arlington and they move into Alexandria and they move into Fairfax, but then they vote exactly the same way they did as they were just in and then they're like, Virginia's a blue state. No, it's not. It's as red could be, but it's got this really intense, very small blue dot, and it's 51% of the population.
As the politicians who implement this policy go behind their gated communities and live in a protected society, it's just mind-boggling to see this repeat over and over again. And I think truly, if people had the ability to arm themselves, to defend themselves, the situation would be so much different, so much better for the rest of society, because you level the playing field. People need to understand, when you're in a place that bans guns, innocent people can't defend themselves. Criminals can have guns and will have guns because they're criminals. They don't care about the law, or they don't care about gun-free zones. They will have guns. You won't.
As long as it's muskets, though, because that's what the Second Amendment's about. It's about muskets.
We are very close. There could be a Supreme Court ruling which grants nationwide constitutional carry effectively. We'll see. Yeah. Basically, the issue is that New York is a may issue state. You apply for a concealed carry and they say, well, think about it. You need a valid reason. It's almost impossible to get. New Jersey is also a may issue state. However, effectively, they're known as a no issue state. Because in New Jersey, you can say, someone threatened my life, I need a gun for personal protection, and they'll say, thank you for your attempt at getting a weapon. Now get out. You're never getting one. So the Supreme Court's going to hear this case. I believe it's pertaining to the New York lawsuit, where it would require states to issue concealed carry in a reasonable amount of time for any reason, because we have a Second Amendment. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.